the first part of the project was teaching a lesson, and I used Play Post-it. I was teaching problem and solution to my third grade Lit Excel group. This group has 2 students with intellectual disabilities, and one of them is also an EL student, and he is hard of hearing. So I chose the video, The Happy Start. It's just a video of a person reading a book, but when I do like read alouds with the kids, I do a lot of videos from YouTube that are interactive, so they have like the characters are moving, just to keep the kids a little bit more interested. So this book was just a child wishing on a star, but he had to do the right things for his wish to come true. So as we were going through the book, the kids were asked different questions for problem solution. So we started off by doing just a task on the ladybug, and it was matching the problem and solution. So it was the girl fell down and hurt her knee. That's the problem, and then the kids had to choose from like 3 options what the solution would be, and just draw a line to match it. So we did a opening to the book that we'll be talking about with the problem solution. So I gave a lot of multiple choice questions and a lot of open-ended questions. I started off with the multiple choice, and then as the book went on, I started giving them the option to tell me a solution that they would do. And then on the next page, when the author would flip the story, it would say the correct solution. So we would celebrate if we got it correct. So I posted a link into the actual video, but then I also screenshotted some of the questions. So the problem is the room is messy. What is one solution? And what I like to do with this group particularly is give the option when I give multiple choice, 1 is absolutely the correct answer, and then the 2 are pretty much not even close. Especially with this, and you'll see on my next slide, I said that the lesson went very well for my reflection. The only thing that I wish that Play Post-it had was the option to have pictures to go along with the questions. This is for my students with intellectual disabilities, my students who are EL. Pretty much all of my students really benefit from having those visuals. So that's something that I wish was an option on there. And then the WIDA standards that I said it goes with were the listening standards. Pretty much what it was the listening, and then having those reading comprehension. But then also with the open-ended questions, I've really been working on speaking with my students, just having them give me an answer, and then I'm kind of repeating it in the correct grammar, the correct format, and then they are then repeating what I just said. The next part of the project was the student project. So I chose to do Story Jumper, again with one of my students with an intellectual disability. What they're working on in the 3rd grade classroom is writing a story that is recreating a fairy tale. So they are doing another student is doing a whole another story to Billy Goat Gruff and Jack and the Beanstalk. So they're kind of making up their own story, but I had to modify it for my student with a disability. So I started off by first giving him a board maker activity, and it was pretty much an errorless activity. The student just picked from a category of options. So it was once upon a time there were, and then he got to pick 3 little pigs, 3 little monkeys, or 3 little puppies. And then it kind of went on and on in the correct order. So it was a lot of prompting through that activity. But with that, he created his own story. And then once we had that and it was all written out for him, we then took it to the computer and went on Story Jumper. So Story Jumper also was, the student needed a lot of prompting, but he really enjoyed rewriting the story of the Three Little Pigs and finding his own pictures for the project. So I added in just a screenshot of what the story looked like. For the WIDA standards, it was working on writing, and for these standards, my student is working on putting his own voice into the writing. So we went back and added some details into there. He read it out loud to his whole class after he was done. So it was working on the speaking standards and then also reading, because he had to read the actual Three Little Pigs story, then kind of go back and choose if he wanted to write it in a new way or just keep the same structure of the Three Little Pigs. The student really loved it. It's definitely is something I'm going to continue to do with the student on that website. He really likes creating his own pictures. It's something that's new for him, so he's definitely a kid that will like something for a week or two and then want something new. So for right now, we're going to keep using this for his writing projects. He really liked that he had the opportunity to then read it out loud to his whole class, and he got to make his own, put his own pictures into it, so it was a whole big deal for him. And then I just put the changes as allow more time to do a draft. In third grade, their writing goes so fast, so I had to do the whole board maker activity project with him first, and then have him do the actual Story Jumper book. So it was kind of a lot of time for him to do, and the other kids were pretty much finished with this project before he was finished. The third part of this project was the observation. I observed a sixth grade classroom working on Chromebooks during guided reading. So our school just got Chromebooks in February for all the sixth grade classrooms and then 2 of the fifth grade classrooms. So I just wanted to observe how they were integrating them throughout pretty much their day with all of their things. So they were using books to work on their response to reading. So after the students meet with the teacher and read with the teacher for 15 minutes, they go back to their seat and do their response. It was pretty much all in, I'm not positive what the teacher was using, but it was like a multiple choice quiz after the students read, and then there was some writing involved as well. And I observed that this EL students and the students with IEPs were doing RAS Kids and other online programs, and that was really interesting for them. I know RAS Kids is used pretty much through all grade levels at my school, so it was good to see that EL students and the students with IEPs didn't really feel as though they were different because everyone had a computer. That was kind of an issue that we've been having. Students didn't want to do RAS Kids because they felt that everybody else is reading a book. Why aren't they reading a book? So with this, everybody has a computer. And then I also put with the writing that there's a word prediction software that's installed on some of the kids' computers. So it really helps them with their spelling. That's one of the things that in handwritten responses that teachers sometimes can't read the writing, or the spelling is just so off that they kind of have to guess what the kid was saying. So with the word prediction software, that has really helped. And then for some of the students, it also has a program where you can re-listen to what was written. So you can press read all, and then the student listens back to what was being said so they can kind of see, are there any errors in it as it's being read out loud to me. So this was a picture from one of the classrooms that I observed with their Chromebooks. My reflection was that the students were super excited to use them, and I am really excited to use them with my own students. We have just written in to the district to get it approved for some of the fourth graders that I have, so then they can get used to the Chromebooks, and they are going to be prepared using them when they come into fifth and sixth grade. It just with the classroom teacher, she had so many different programs on there, so many different things to help all of her students, and it was awesome to see that there were many things that are successful and set up for the EL and IEP students as well. And then the last part was finding a new iPad app. So at my school, a lot of the EL students have trouble with like their word wall. Everyone in the younger grades has their own personal word wall like worksheet, but it's really just the alphabet and then a bunch of words written underneath each letter. One of my students uses it every single time in writing, and he'll use it for words he even knows how to spell. So we're really working on not pulling that out, because that has been more challenging for him because he doesn't have anything to go along with the word. He just has the word. So what we've been doing is creating word books in paper, and the student kind of goes through and makes their own alphabet book pretty much, but with more of the challenging words that they're using in their writing. And then they are drawing their own picture to go along with it. And I, for this project, did some research, and I found this app, and I thought it would be super useful for the students in my class. So it's an interactive vocabulary notebook. So you create your own flashcards, and then you learn, practice, and review words using the flashcards. So the students go in, they put in the word, they find a picture that matches, and then they can use it as flashcards. But I also said that my kids can use it during their writing activities. They can pull up which word they're looking for and use it for spelling, and then use it also in shared reading. If the text is obviously way above some of the kids' levels, the kids can look up a word that their teacher has put into their app, and then they can see exactly what that word looks like in kind of a picture that goes along with it. So I had that the pros were that the kids learn new vocabulary. It's used during reading and writing, which is extremely helpful. You could even use it during math if you have just a kid that needs that specific math language. And then one thing that I really like that not every class is able to have with just their word wall worksheets is that it has those visuals to support. So that is helping the EL students and pretty much all students. The cons is that it's a lot of teacher support at first. You need the teachers really need to teach the kids how to use it, and that takes a long time. And then you also have to pay for more words, which kind of stinks, but it's worth it, I think. And then there's been a lot of reports saying that the app crashes and that you can't transfer the words onto a new device. I think that we kind of stick to one device, so that's not a huge issue. But then the app crashing, that is something that hopefully they can figure out for soon. And that was my final project.